Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I am so glad you're joining me because we've got something really special lined up. We're diving into an incredibly profound text from a source known as the Third Word. And honestly, this hits on something we all deal with. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, we're all trying to answer this one massive question. How do we actually find true psychological safety and inner peace through faith? What's amazing about this text is that it completely skips past the surface-level definitions of religion and goes straight into human psychology. So, settle in, clear your mind, and let's unpack exactly how this text answers that fundamental question.
But to really get the solution, we've got to understand the problem first. So, Section 1, Our Invisible Fears.
Just take a second and slow down with me here. Think about the sheer weight of the everyday anxieties you carry around. I'm not talking about dodging physical danger, I mean those quiet, nagging worries humming in the background of your mind from the second your alarm goes off until you finally manage to fall asleep. The source text poses this profound question: why do humans fear so much? It's kind of a wild paradox when you think about it. On the outside, especially in the modern world, we look incredibly free. We have physical mobility, endless choices, we look completely unburdened. But internally, man, we are lugging around these heavy, invisible chains. We're basically imprisoned by our own anxieties, even while walking around in total physical freedom.
Let's break these down because the source specifically categorizes these invisible fears into 4 main buckets: the future, failure, loneliness, and judgment. Super relatable, right? I mean, we constantly stress about what tomorrow holds. We're terrified of failing in our careers or personal lives. We dread ending up alone. And honestly, maybe the most paralyzing one, we constantly police our own behavior because we are so scared of other people judging us. These are the quiet anxieties that just paralyze us.
So how does the Third Word suggest we actually handle this? Let's move to Section 2, the soldier's burden and security.
The metaphor here is just brilliant. Imagine a soldier who's ordered to carry this heavy backpack full of supplies and a weapon. Now, to an outside observer, or maybe a naive new recruit, that just looks like a ton of unnecessary weight, right? Like a total restriction of freedom. But what is it really? That backpack is the food keeping the soldier alive. That weapon is their protection against the enemy. The text maps these physical items directly to spiritual meanings, worship, and piety. What looks like a heavy burden, like the structure and rules of faith, is actually your ultimate provision and protection. It's literally the key to surviving the treacherous journey of life with your inner security intact.
Taking that metaphor a layer deeper, we hit Section 3, The Inner Peace Gained by Tao He.
This is where we unpack how a specific theological concept takes our worldview from utter chaos to perfect order. Because the provisions in that spiritual backpack aren't just empty rituals, they're fueled by a very specific belief system. And that brings us to this foundational quote from the source: "There is no deity but God." The text emphasizes that for someone who worships, this isn't just a rote prayer you mumble without thinking. It's a massive psychological shift. When you truly internalize this, you're recognizing that the Creator possesses infinite wisdom and mercy. You're acknowledging that this Creator is the ultimate provider, and that both harm and benefit ultimately rest in His hands. And wow, when you view the world through that lens, life suddenly stops being this terrifying, chaotic mess and becomes a structured environment overseen by a merciful authority.
All right, so we've got our provisions, but what about our weapon? That leads us right into Section 4, piety, human's own shield.
Now, what's super interesting here is how the text defines piety or taqwa. Let's be real, a lot of us hear piety and instantly think of a boring list of don'ts meant to ruin all our fun. But the source frames it totally differently. It defines piety as protecting yourself from sins, addictions, and impulsive desires. And the crucial point here is that these things usually look exactly like freedom at first, but they ultimately enslave the human soul. So piety isn't a restriction at all. It's a protective boundary. Just like the soldier's weapon protects them from physical enemies, piety is the shield protecting you from things that promise fake freedom but end up causing you profound psychological harm and anxiety.
To really drive this home, let's look at the contrast between these two lifestyles. Without this spiritual backpack and shield, a person is just living in constant anxiety. They're scared of everything. They feel this desperate need to beg for approval from everyone around them. And when disaster strikes, they completely fall apart. But on the flip side, someone equipped with faith and piety, they seek refuge in the Lord. They don't beg others because they know exactly where their true sustenance comes from. And when the hard times hit, because they always do, they don't shatter. They endure with this incredibly resilient trust and prayer. It is a complete shift from being totally vulnerable to being unbreakably strong.
Okay,
So we've got the theory, and we understand the metaphor, but how do we actually apply this in everyday life? Let's jump into section 5, turning fear into prayer.
The real key here is capturing the exact mindset required, and it's beautifully summed up in this sentence from the source. I do my best, ultimately harm and benefit are in God's hands. Now, I want to be super clear on this, and the text is very clear too. This mindset is not an excuse to be passive. It doesn't mean you just sit back and do nothing. Notice the very first part, I do my best. You take absolute, full responsibility for your actions, but then you release the outcome. You acknowledge the limits of your control, which is exactly what stops you from crumbling under the pressure of all those invisible fears.
Let's actually put this into practice. The text invites us to do this quick exercise right now. Step 1, I want you to think of your absolute biggest fear today, whatever is sitting heaviest on your chest right now. Step 2, consciously acknowledge that while you have to take action, ultimate harm and benefit are in God's hands. Just let go of the illusion that you control the universe. And step 3, turn that specific fear into a prayer, asking for guidance on the very next right step you need to take.
And here is the exact prayer the text suggests for that third step. O Lord, make me take the right step in this matter. Man, it is so simple, but so incredibly empowering. It reminds us that true courage isn't about being totally fearless. Actually, scratch that. If you're waiting around to have zero fear before you act, you're going to wait forever. True courage is knowing exactly where to lean for support when you are completely surrounded by fears. It's strapping on your spiritual backpack, picking up your shield, and taking a step forward anyway. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final, vital question. Which of your fears needs this support the most right now? Take a minute today to really figure that out. Pack your spiritual provisions, pick up your shield, and turn that fear into a prayer. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible text today. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and I will see you next time.